Hi, everybody. Welcome to the FiveStack. Sorry, Zev and I are just shooting the shit about his incredible Greatest Heist series over at narrative.org. Everybody should go and subscribe immediately. Narrative.org. Click, 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 click,
You're
click,
so
click, click,
nice,
click, click.
Dean. I
Well, you
appreciate all the
should because,
support.
dude, it's like a 12 or 13 part series now.
Yeah.
And you should turn that thing into a book. Do you know how much information is in that bad boy? Like,
Yeah.
it's
It's a
incredible. And you're right. Like, that's what I keep saying every time. I'm like, oh, he's right. Like, he's nailed it. He's nailed it again and again and again and again. You got to turn it into a book, The Greatest Heist Series. Everybody get the cheap version of the book. Go subscribe to Zev Shalev's narrative.org Substack account right now, monthly, yearly. He's got a deal on it. But man, oh man, it is so good. And I know you're working on something else too, right?
well, I pitched this book as a book pitch to a bunch of people, and I'll see if it comes back. But if anyone is watching who is a book publisher who wants to know how to get this book out there or can help me get this book out there, I'm all ears. I think it's a great
Mm.
book, and it'll be a great movie actually, because it's so dramatic everything that happens in this series. So I'm working on book 2 of The Greatest Heist, and that's going to come out soon. It's a different period of time, but we look at all the same players doing different things, and so it's coming
Different
out.
bad things. Different bad things. You find out what
Even
Trump did.
worse things, even
Terrible things. Awful things.
the worst possible things you can imagine them doing. And one of them is the president of the United States. So, the other one is Jeffrey Epstein. How badly can that book go?
Wait. Do they know each other?
Not only do they know each other, it's a story of two friends. One becomes president of the United States. The other one dies alone
The other one
in
gets
a
murdered
prison cell.
in his jail cell after
Yeah.
getting arrested for 30 years of pedophilia. Yeah.
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 Well,
Yeah. You
there's
probably do
it's
them.
drama. It's dramatic. There's nothing better than that.
That's the other thing. Just to put this out before we get to the five step, it's one of the great aspects of the Epstein files that I just can't get over. Like, it just blows my mind to this day that there are so many, like literally thousands and thousands of receipts of Epstein, Trump Epstein business, Trump Epstein flights, Trump Epstein's hanging out at Victoria's Secret parties, Trump Epstein hanging out at model agency, recruitment drives, Trump, like, and he sits up there sometimes and he does stuff like this. I barely knew the guy. And
Yeah.
there's a faction, there's a
Who?
faction of
Jeffrey?
America,
Who?
there's a faction of America's like, oh yeah, I believe that last statement, not 30 years of digital receipts and pictures and videos.
Do
Like, just
they?
blows my,
Do they still?
yes,
I don't
they
think they
want to so
believe it.
bad. They want to so bad.
How come you're still stuck at an airport? Are you doing the Tom Hanks movie?
Yeah.
Where you get like stuck in
The,
an
the,
airport for
yeah,
40
yeah.
days?
The dude that didn't
Yeah.
have a home. That's
Yeah.
basically me. No, I got to
You
travel
could fall in
for
love,
work.
if you stayed there for 40 days. That's the story,
No,
really.
I'm good. I'm good. I've got a
Okay.
lovely life partner. Everything's great.
Okay.
I need to go and do some traveling, but I told you I wouldn't miss our 3 o'clock today. So why don't we get to the
Yeah.
five stack? Because we got some doozies for everybody today, including Canada taking center stage when it comes to getting accountability for the United States of America. But where do you want to start, my guy?
Well, let's begin at number 5, and we're going to start with the cryptocurrency markets. Yeah, that's right.
Not
Cryptocurrency.
great. Not great.
Cryptocurrency
How we
markets
doing?
shed roughly $79 billion in market cap over 12 hours, with 217 million in liquidations, as institutional buyers have essentially ghosted the space following October's crash. According to a Coinbase executive, the collapse exposes how policy uncertainty, from tariff chaos to regulatory fog, creates a risk premium that hits leveraged assets first. I have no idea what that means, but I'm pretending I do. With trading volumes staying
Leveraged
thin
assets,
enough.
real money,
I,
real
I
money.
get it. I'm just
Things.
joking.
Yes.
With trading volumes, anyways, stable coin flows and U.S. regulatory signals are the key metrics to watch. But as we've been pointing out, cryptocurrency is what this presidency is all about. He is deeply, deeply invested in cryptocurrency, and its collapse is making him feel a little uncertain, one would think. Now, it's not collapsing yet, of course. This is just a little drop. But I want to get your take, because you're keenly aware of the market.
Yeah. Well, keenly is a really nice way to say that I kind of understand it. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much for upselling my knowledge on crypto and Bitcoin. That's incredible.
It's a whole new
Um,
sector.
Listen, not only is it a whole new sector, this has been a rugging 20 years in the making. And I would encourage everybody to look for a couple of different signposts here. One is who's short of the crypto market, who's short of the Bitcoin market. There were several short positions that were taken in October that are still generating tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that trace
Ah,
back to a young gentleman named Barron Trump, ladies and gentlemen.
ah.
That young guy, he knows how to turn on a computer. Remember Donald Trump a couple months ago?
Are
He's
you
like,
saying Barron
Barron
Trump
Trump.
shorted the market?
Yeah, I'm 100% what I'm saying. Barron Trump,
Little
uh,
19-year-old Barron Trump?
little 19-year-old Barron Trump, all that stuff.
I had no idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so Barron Trump's he's this interesting little, well, little, he's like
He's
six,
six foot
seven,
seven. Yeah.
like incel ferret who no one's ever heard from, no one ever talks to, who lives in the background, but lives in the shadow and collects all of the adulation of the Trump administration. Now, do not sleep on how important that young 20-year-old Barron Trump is to this crypto rugging and this all out rift that the Trump crime families, because where did they get their wealth over the past 10 months when their wealth has almost tripled, by the way, to the tune of about 11 to 12 billion in cryptocurrency or Bitcoin?
Wow.
Who is in the middle of this? Who's the nexus of this? And you can say it's, CZ from Binance, who got a pardon the other day, which is sweet timing. You can say it's Zach Witkoff, who's literally the village idiot. If you talk to anybody that knows the Witkoff family, they're like, Zach Witkoff's the dumbest person in the world. Eric Trump, another village idiot. Donald Trump Jr., another village idiot. But there's one mysterious person in the middle of this who nobody ever hears from. And that's the crypto incel whiz son of Donald and Melania Trump. And his name is Barron
Ah,
Trump. And in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see some interesting reporting about who's really behind the architecture and who's really the trigger person, who's the middle person for everything that goes into the Trump crime family's Bitcoin slash crypto deposit account. And it's none other than that young little prick, Barron Trump. And when you start seeing some of those receipts come out, I want you to tell everybody, I was listening to this great podcast. Like, I used to go to like a rock and roll show. You see a band and like 2 years later, they're playing a stadium. I want you to remember that because you heard that here first. And that is going to start to trickle out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And he is going to be a very serious focus of attention if indeed Donald Trump does not win the election of the U.S. Treasury, the Department of Justice, provided we get some sanity back in the White House in 2026,
that
2028.
is breaking news. That's a big story you've just broken there. Look, I
Welcome, everybody.
also happen to hear that he's returning to the White House. He's going to be living in the White House,
Yeah,
which
he's
is
got to go back to school. Why
So this is
would
a
you when you
guy,
made $200 million drugging
right?
people and you're continually generating that kind of income on behalf of the family? I mean, that's exactly what he's doing.
So it's insider trading. It's a bit of nepotism. It's a whole lot of conflicts of interest. It's everything you can imagine, all rolled into one big corruption scandal. And this kid is either going to become the leader of America in the future, or he's going to go to jail, depending on which outlook you believe.
Do you want some more breaking news, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen? Turn this up, hit those hearts, hammer that little box with the arrow on
Oh,
it. Send
guys,
us
if you
as
want this
many as
breaking
you
news,
want.
you have to absolutely hit those hearts.
Not only is Barron Trump the centrifuge for all the crypto thievery, Barron Trump is what we would call a groiper. So
Oh,
he's the connection to the groiper community on behalf of Donald Trump's family. He's the connection to Nick Fuentes. He and Nick Fuentes, nice and tight,
tight.
real
Yeah.
tight guys. Yeah, there you go.
So that is
Some
interesting.
really interesting information for everybody in the airport lounge today.
So it's almost like cryptocurrency and white nationalism have a thing together, that they might be
Funky.
connected. Yeah. Interesting. You're full of good information there, Dean. Thanks very much for that.
Oh, I'm full of lots of things.
I can't wait to find out more from deanblundell.substack.com and especially the Barron Trump files. Those are good ones.
Yeah, we've got a piece coming out about it in the next couple of days. So
Nice.
go to deanblundell.substack.com. But ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I want you to remember this conversation. You, me, here, this day, October the 28th. What is it, 3:19 p.m.? You'd be like, remember the day I heard about Barron Trump? That's your guy, boys.
I'm going to clip this clip and just share it with
As
everybody
you
on that
should.
day.
Because there's nothing I love more than being proven right. I want to let you know.
You're always right, Dean. You're always right. You know that. Number 4, Trump met with Japan's Prime Minister Takaichi to tout a rare earths investment push as part of a supply chain repositioning away from Chinese dominance, with a meeting with Xi Jinping still looming on the trip. The optics frame this as materials insurance, Tokyo hedging against Beijing, while Washington continues wielding tariffs as leverage everywhere else. But the real test comes in the next 48 hours when we see if any concrete projects, commitments, or U.S. facility sighting actually emerges from the White House follow-up fact sheets.
Mm, mm. Did you
This
see? So,
is,
so did you see him land in Japan? And by the way, Japan's got a new female hardline. They call her a hard right prime minister. She's not. She's socially progressive, financially very conservative, but very nationalistic. As you know, you either have them or you don't. Nationalistic people. Um, he lands and destroyed every Japanese protocol that they welcome world
yeah.
leaders by. Because, and listen, he didn't just destroy it because he didn't know what he was doing, because he doesn't know where he is. He gets out of the beast. He does one of these, walks over, grabs the lady's hand, slaps her on the arm, not supposed to do that, and then walks her into the new prime minister of Japan. He walks him into this reception room where you got to watch the video. I'm going to put a post out about it
Yeah,
later.
I'll definitely check it out.
This reception room where he starts wandering aimlessly around the room like the dementia patient he is. And she's like, "Oh, no, you got to go over here. No, 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 get over there." And he's just literally walking by everybody looking at him like this.
He's like, get me out
And
of
at
here.
one
Get
point,
me
he
out of
stood in
here.
the middle. Dude, at one point, he stood in the middle of the room and he just saluted nobody. He just,
Oh, that's hilarious. He's looking for the military. So
yeah.
and then he went on to talk to the military troops over there that are based there, and did a sort of a political speech in front of them, saying that
Mhm.
they're all going to go be sent into American cities soon. That he needs more than the National Guard, and he's got no problem with that. And the American people, he said, have no problem with the fact that the military is going to be in American cities. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens. As for the rare earth minerals thing, I mean, this seems to be like it's a little bit of play acting. We'll see what happens at the end. I think.
Yeah, they signed a deal to explore a deal. That was the
Okay.
deal. So in
All right.
case everybody's sitting around, just to give you the Coles notes of his whirlwind visit to Japan, not only did he wander around like grandpa at an old folks' home when he was welcomed to Japan, destroying every Japanese honor protocol, he also then went to speak to the troops in Okinawa, and he literally was almost incomprehensible. You couldn't understand a word the dude said. And then what you did understand was Donald Trump saying, not only do we he lied about everything, of course. Not only do we have a rare earth deal with Japan, don't have a deal. They have a deal to explore a deal. He goes, we're also going to be sending some of you into American cities to kick some ass. Also not happening because the American military isn't doing that. And, I watched some of it today, and I wondered at what point are we just going to stop being appalled by the lies, the gaslighting, by the propaganda, by the stuff that he's doing.
Never.
Like, I wonder at what point we're going to go, yeah, none of that's happening. Like fucking not on the news at 6 tonight. We
Yeah.
don't need to talk about this anymore because it was truly the dumbest shit I've seen. And if you wondered, if you're like, maybe he's not sick, maybe he doesn't have dementia. I need you to
Yeah.
go and watch the video of him wander around aimlessly in the reception room in Japan. You have to watch it. That man is.
I'm going to check it out. That looks like a really good video. I'm going to just throw the whole lineup into the air right now, because the thing that I was looking at isn't turning me on as much as this is. So let's go to this is number 3. Canada is reportedly preparing to officially condemn the Trump administration as an enemy of the American people over systemic human rights abuses, while Pope Leo XIV has launched the most forceful moral challenge to MAGA from a major religious leader. Both are marking historic breaks in how America's closest allies and moral authorities respond to authoritarian consolidation. If Prime Minister Mark Carney proceeds with formal condemnation, it would be the first time a U.S. ally labeled an American president this way. A diplomatic earthquake between countries sharing the world's longest undefended border. You've got the story on Dean Blundell. This is a very big deal with
Yeah.
Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, coinciding as well with Pope Leo's condemnation of America as an authoritarian state.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I got a phone call a couple of days ago from a buddy of mine and asked the question, like, at what point are we going to start calling out the Trump regime in as much as we call out Netanyahu's regime and as much as we call out other regimes, other countries that literally abuse their own people. I mean, there's no other visual that we see that explains how abusive Trump and his regime have been to the American people than all these ICE videos, these DHS videos, CBP videos of, masked green guys in brown shirts running around, kicking the shit out of people, running people over with their cars, running cars off the road, getting out of the car with a mask on, pointing guns at people for the crime of being Mexican or the crime of being black. And so I asked him, I'm like, at what point are we going to grow some stones as a country? And at what point are we going to start treating the United States like we treat everybody else that abuses their own people? Like, at what
Mm,
point are we going to start calling out the human rights abuses that are going on in the United States of America, the greatest,
mhm,
most beautiful country in the world? Like, at what point are we going to stand up for them? And you sort of seen that slow burn over the past couple of weeks, right? Carney saying our relationship with America is over. Of course, the Canada ad, which ruffled some feathers, and Carney was like, "Hey, that was Doug Ford, no big deal." But we get it. I mean, those are Donald Trump's words, and then on top of that, the Carney, the Carney orbit, everybody in the Carney orbit understood the numbers, and the numbers that we talked about yesterday, which were okay, 60% of Americans, sorry, in the United States of America, Canada has a 60% approval rating. Donald Trump has a minus 10% approval rating. Of course, we are so much more popular. The decisions we make are so much more important than anything Donald Trump does. The Carney government realized that maybe we got some, maybe we are the big swinging dick in the official opposition cracker factory. Maybe we do have influence. Maybe we should be doing more. And so, what came back after I asked that question was there are discussions. There are discussions that are ongoing right now about calling out the Trump regime in terms of the very, very serious human rights abuses that are going on in the United States of America right now. And we would be hypocritical dickheads if we didn't. And so when I heard that, I'm like, okay, when? When are we going to do that? And they said, it's a trigger. It's a one-shot arrow. It's like selling U.S. Treasury bonds. You do it, there's no going back. Like, and Donald Trump is already, really angry about the ad because he's a petty beta cuck pussy, which we all know. And so that's something that you wait and you trigger. But I can tell you this, it's coming. The government of Canada and the people of Canada have had enough of watching the United States of America and the Trump regime hurt our friends. Those
mhm,
are our friends, man.
mhm.
And those friends of ours love us as much as we love them. It's analytically rock solid. Donald Trump is nothing in the United States compared to Canada. And when
Yeah,
Canada comes and has their backs, when Canada says, "Hey, listen, that's enough," and we officially label Donald Trump as an abuser of the beautiful people in those United States of America, that's when the game changes because of the stick that Canada carries on the world stage. It is not a small stick right now. And I can tell you that if that happens, and I can't guarantee that it will, I'd like to say that it will, but I can tell you if that happens, expect an avalanche, a cavalcade of free democratic countries that will do the same thing.
that is fantastic to hear from you. I mean, look, when I think back to apartheid and I think about how apartheid folded, a big part of how apartheid folded was because of international pressure, because there was sanctions against the regime for all its immoral activity, for all the things it was doing to subjugate humans. And, this may be the United States of America, but it does not have the moral authority to do what it's doing to the people of America. And when
Mhm.
you rightly are pointing out all these things that are going on, where people are being, kidnapped off the streets of America and you move to other countries, moved into, gulags in other countries, never mind just taken, deported back home. But we're seeing that for American citizens too. And we know what's coming. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to see that they're building an infrastructure out where you've got ICE, which is going to be basically the private police force of the president. Where they're, for some reason feel the need to be acquiring missiles and to be acquiring hand grenades. I mean, what do they need that kind of firepower for? The president of the United States in Japan today was talking about sending everyone to more than the National Guard into the cities in order to contain safety in the cities. What does that really mean? It means suppressing protest. It means that they're not going to be allowing people to have their individual rights to be protesting. And so you can see that he's building an infrastructure that is not only going to be policing certain cities and suppressing free speech and protest, but he's also building an infrastructure that can take people out of the cities and put them in concentration camps, basically, just for
Mhm.
saying something against him. And how far off are we from the next step, which is going to be, you must attend the rally of the great Donald Trump. You have to, because that's part of your expectation. And when you're there, by the way, we're watching if you're cheering or not, because that'll show us what kind of a patriot you are, because our AI eyes are all over the place. How far away are we from that kind of reality? I bet you it's not that far. So the
Mm.
earlier the people of America can find support from other people of the world, other countries of the world, this is going to land up not being a story about authoritarianism. It's going to land up being a story about genocide and morality. And Canada has the upside on that, and we need to be an early adopter of criticism of the United States.
Yeah, you know what? Well said. I mean, and you extrapolate that as you did or project that as to what's next and what's next is what's next. Because sometimes, what's in front of us, we think it's terrible, but it's the what's
Yeah.
next that's going to be a problem. And to your point, I mean, the AI and the surveillance news this week that they plan on surveilling every U.S. citizen. They have everybody's information, and they're saying it's to keep you safe. It's not to keep you safe. It's to trigger you. It's to get you to do shit. It's to make you fearful. It's all the things that you knew with surveillance society, specifically, and we see them. I mean, they exist. China exists. There's a bunch of different societies. Those surveillance is number one. Russia is one of them. And that they're not surveilling people because they're trying to keep anybody safe. At this point, the way that this is going, this is nothing more than again state surveillance to keep people activated, to keep people from speaking out, to keep truth sidelined. So democracy dies in the dark. And to your point, that is the point.
Yeah, but look what happened. The head of CNN shows up at the White House. So minutes after that, they're suddenly suppressing their coverage or their critical coverage of the East Wing demolition. Now, what happened when Mark Thompson walked in there? Why was the Trump administration able to convince him to change the coverage, the editorial policy of CNN? And might it have something to do with the fact that Warner Brothers could be acquired in the near future by the Ellison Group, and that in order to do that, maybe the Trump administration is telling Mark Thompson to, bow down and do more favorable coverage. It's not inconceivable that that is happening. We've seen the same thing happening at the Washington Post, owned by Jeff Bezos.
Mhm.
And you keep seeing all these major mainstream institutions bowing down, capitulating to this presidency. So another factor that is just going to keep coming up again is just the press is being so suppressed. The truth is being so suppressed. We don't know what's going on. And it is just very typical of an authoritarian state. And Canada has every reason to be critical of that going forward.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And you know what? It's interesting because it's Canada. I mean, and this goes to the digital ID conversation. I'm no drinking violet when it comes to this idea that Canada, North America, Canadians, Americans are being surveilled. If you have a smartphone, you have a digital identification. If you have an Uber account, you have a digital identification with a social credit score. I don't know, just trying to think that up.
Yeah.
These things already exist for everyday use. And I'm not afraid of being surveilled. I think the people that are afraid of being surveilled are the people that do bad shit. But in this case, the people that do all the really bad shit are the ones who want to surveil you. Now, why would that be? It would be because they don't want you talking about all the bad shit they do. They just want you distracted. They want you co-signing all the terrible shit that they do, or they want you not to see all the terrible shit that they do. So, to your point, they own the means of distribution of that information. CNN getting hauled into the White House ahead of a big merger with Larry Ellison's Oracle Group and Skydance and Warner Brothers, and then all of a sudden the critical coverage of the demolition of the People's House and in favor of building Trump's Fuhrer bunker, which we're not talking about enough. That ends, and then there's no reporting on it. You go on social media, excuse me, specifically Twitter, excuse me,
Not known as
everything gets
X.
nuked. Everything
Yeah.
gets nuked all the time. You can't gather that information. So, the choke job is on. But to your point, this is we don't live in a society now where, and by the way, that data and that information, that surveillance, they're going to couple that with the kind of media that they want you to see. They don't want you to hear terrible news about the Trump regime and his cacostocracy of assholes running around hurting Americans, destroying the White House. By the way, the Epstein Memorial Ballroom is what they're calling it, Lincoln Project. So yeah, for that, I started dying
Yeah.
laughing because this is pay for play. He is completely monetized and threatened everybody into monetizing his presidency, and he doesn't want people to know that. And that's the crazy part to me too, is he surrounded himself with people who are not just okay with it, they're paying for it. Like Larry Ellison, Jeff Bezos, the Winklevoss twins, the guy from BNY Mellon, who's also in the Epstein files, who literally
Mm.
just paid the military's tab,
That story is
$130 billion
incredible.
tab. It is
Why is a private
unreal.
individual paying for the military? I mean, are we turning our military into a private army? Is that what's going
Think
on? Are we
about that.
really?
Think about that. America's
Yeah,
great, like the old America's identity is so bankrupt. They had to beg a guy who's in the Epstein files for money
yeah,
to
yeah.
fund the military. That Donald Trump is now running around telling, I not only am I going to send you into American cities, you're not getting paid to do it because we shut down the fucking government. I mean, this
Or
man
if you
is
want to get
on.
paid, you have to go into American cities. Which may be the conversation that he has
Mm,
next, because
interesting.
the military brass may say no otherwise. But if you get no pay, and you want to send money to your family, and you want to do work, then guess what? Then you might do it if you're paid for by private individual, which may be the real story behind this whole thing.
Yeah.
Number two on the countdown: Wednesday, the Supreme Court hears Louisiana versus Calais, designed to gut Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and eliminate minority majority districts across the South. Such a big story. This is their attempt, the Trump administration's attempt, to give Republicans 19 additional House seats by wiping out 30% of the Congressional Black Caucus in a single ruling. Now, it looks likely that the Supreme Court will actually approve this. It's not theoretical. Trump has already ordered mid-decade redistricting in Texas, North Carolina, and now Indiana, and in one other state, Missouri, turning a once-per-decade process into an on-demand partisan tool. Now, of course, there's something happening in California where they're reacting to that. But the truth of it is, this redistricting, they're getting rid of Section 2 is so fundamentally big to being fair and free elections in America. It's basically stripping the underpinning of that notion that America has free and fair elections away. And if you're black, forget about representation.
Yeah, these are all every gerrymandered district is districts that has majority people of color as the demographic, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
The purpose for that, and the this is the real reason. The purpose of that is because Trump knows he's going to lose. Trump knows he's going to lose. I mean, he's got a 32% approval rating. The Canada ad has just exposed him. And now the good people at Save America and the Save America movement are going all in, exposed him
Mhm.
as the, recency bias piece of shit, no mind moron that everybody knows he is the fascist economist, fake economist that everybody knows he is. Like, and so, his approval rating somewhere around hovering on the 31% rating. It's historically low. He is universally hated. I go back to, again, the Canada issue that he has is Canada has a 60-point higher approval rating with Americans than Donald Trump has. Like, he is below 30% when it comes to the economy. He's below 28% when it comes to immigration. When it comes to his overall approval rating, he's around 31%. This is not, and to your point, and you and I've talked about this, you get to like 27, 28, 25%. That's coup territory. I don't care how loyal his MAGA cabinet is. Like, you're looking at a whole bunch of people that are going to go down. So what does he do? He destroys different jurisdictions, gerrymanders the shit out of red states so that he can then take some seats and slide them over to his side and remove voting rights, remove the voices of the people that he's currently putting in ICE detention facilities who have an issue with him hurting their friends, families, and neighbors because he does not want them to have any type of decision when it comes to who is going to pick the next president of these United States of America.
Absolutely. It's also turning all those red states into one party states. They'll be completely run by Republicans through and through. That is unbelievable when you think about a society divided or a geography divided in that way. You don't have to think very long ago to with the Civil War, and you think about the time when America was divided that way before this. You had a South and a North, and that was it. So we're heading into the same kind of polarization, but more troublingly was what they're doing inside the Department of Homeland Security, where they've appointed Heather Honey, who is one of those weirdos who was in the
She's really
cyber
cute
ninjas.
too. She's really hot.
No comment.
As
But
my
she
dad
was.
would say, and hang on, let's. I'm going to insert some Jimmy Blundell into this podcast. As my dad
That was
would
a
say,
Substack.
son, she looks like the north end of a southbound camel. Um,
Oh
she doesn't
dear.
fit the like Trump operative profile either, which
Yeah,
is
that's why she
really
got the
fascinating to me
deputy.
because she's so ugly. Like,
She got the deputy assistant position there for
oh,
secretary
okay.
for election integrity. You
Only
don't
the
have to be a.
hotties get the directors, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
uglies get the assistant deputy director
I'm
positions.
not
I
saying
get it.
that, but you are.
No, no, I did.
Um,
I totally said
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So yeah, this woman who was responsible for that cyber ninja Arizona recount with the bamboo fibers and the sharpies and all this nonsense that turned out to be complete nonsense is now running election security for the states of America. So, you know, um, it's troubling. She landed up going to a meeting with them recently and was questioning whether they overreacted by overstepped their boundaries by dealing with misinformation during the 2024 elections. I mean, it is ridiculous that she would suggest something like that. On top of that, her boss is Cleta Mitchell, who we all remember from the insurrection, who has this weird history of being, anti-gay because her husband turned gay. So she's got this like vendetta against people. But she also has a vendetta against anything lefty and is now running this election integrity network. And they're basically training poll watchers nationwide. These people are going to be counting your votes when you go in and cast your vote. These people are all being rigged as, partisan folks by Cleta Mitchell to do whatever dirty deeds they're going to be doing in the November elections next year. So there's a real attempt by the Trump administration to consolidate power, to rig these next elections, to take away the votes of many, many Americans, to gerrymander, and then to also interfere in the general elections by calling a national emergency. So he is going to declare some sort of national emergency because he says he should have won the 2020 elections. Remember that. And he's going to try use that to get into the states and then redo the voting laws for the states. That is how serious, and it's a serious plan. This is not made up. We had a great show about it last night on
Oh, it's
Narrative
real.
Live.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
happening.
It
This
was
is
a
a
great
real
show.
thing. Yeah, the guys from Fair Fight were on. So it's a
Oh,
real,
awesome.
it's a concern, and it is a problem that's facing all Americans.
So you know why Trump wasn't able to rig 2020 is because in those positions, key positions, like the attorney general, sure he had Bill Barr, and Bill Barr's a piece of shit, but Bill Barr was like he didn't want to go to jail,
Yeah.
right? Then you had John Kelly. John Kelly didn't want to go to jail. You had a whole bunch of different on it's like, yeah. And then you had a whole bunch of different people in different positions that popped up Donald Trump. Those people do not exist anymore. Donald Trump is depositing people like Paul Ingrassia, or alt-right podcasters, as the new Mueller, by the way, the head of the OSC.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
installing 22-year-old former gardeners who were bag boys that became alt-right podcasting sensations a year later as the head of counterterrorism in the United States. That's true. He's installing alt-right podcasters that wrote kids' books about them being crypto wizards as the head of the FBI, Kash Patel. That's also true. So why is he doing those things? And I think this is a really simple explanation. Like, I don't think anybody needs to get angry about it when you understand he was trying to, turn America into a kakistocracy where the dumbest fucking human beings in the world are given these plum positions. It's because those people are so stupid. Heather Honey, Kash Patel, this Hogarth kid, Ingrassi are so fucking stupid that they're willing to go to jail for the man. They're
Yeah.
willing to commit heinous election crimes, crimes against humanity on behalf of this guy just to stay close and kiss the ring. Or maybe they have the same basic based ideology of religious extremism or white Christian nationalism, or maybe they're in the cult. These are he's literally picking off people who are so dumb. It's like so
Well, they're not
incredibly
only
stupid
dumb,
that
because one of the
they are willing to sacrifice their lives for him. It is absolutely awesome to watch. And Heather Honey's one of them.
there was one person in that meeting who came out and said they're not sure if she's stupid or lying. And it sounds like, it sounds like an insult in both cases. But the reality of
I
it
think
is
she's
these
pretty
people,
stupid.
she might be
Because even
stupid,
if you're
but
lying, you have to be stupid to be able to go, you know what, this is
yeah,
a lie I'm going to go to work with here today. You know,
but
even if she's disingenuous, it
yeah,
doesn't mean that she's not stupid. Either way, dude, she's the village idiot. They all are. They're the
yeah.
stupidest group of people on the planet.
Bill Black, who's a famous, regulator in the banking sector and also criminologist, was talking to him the other day on one of the shows, and he said, it's not a bug, it's a feature. He's looking for people who lie, boldly lie about anything, like including that he won the 2020 elections.
With
That,
confidence. Yeah.
with confidence, that is what gets you the job. Is if you're willing to lie about him winning the 2020 elections. He knows he didn't win it, but he wants to lie. He wants you to lie just like he lies, because it means that you'll lie about everything else that you do and you'll cheat your way through the job and protect him all the way through. That is basically how he launders the good people out of the government sector, and he's bringing in all these criminals and liars and basically corrupt people to run our government. And that is how he does it. It's a feature.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's not a bug. It is a
Number
feature.
one.
It's
Yeah.
exactly. Sorry, go ahead. Number one story
Number
is.
one story is, by surprise, an unforgettable night at the World Series lasted 18 incredible innings last night. You must have been up late.
Oh,
Catch me up, because I do not know what's going on, and I
oh
need to
my
know what's
God.
happening in the
It
World
was
Series.
so bad. It was so bad. It was so bad. They
But it was
lost
good, wasn't
18
it?
innings. No, it was
Uh,
good. It was the best baseball game I've ever seen. It was bad. They go again tonight. Max Scherzer was great. They were up 4-2. They gave it away. Shohei Ohtani got on base like 9 times. We got a real problem with Shohei Ohtani. But to your point, and a great place to end this is, I do not want to jinx the World Series right now. We're down 2-1, game 4 tonight. Chavez Ravine, Dodger Stadium. Let's everybody just take a big breath. If you're a Jays fan or if you're an American who doesn't want Donald Trump to have an American team win the World Series, thank you. Good. I don't want to make this a political statement today. I don't want to dig into storylines. I just want to leave the boys alone, because
okay.
we've got Shane Bieber on the hill. I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens tonight. They're going to be ready to play, but they played 2 baseball games in one night last night. Let's just be serious. They're
Yeah,
going to be
18 innings is a
tons.
lot.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't even know
man. That's
baseball, but it sounds like a
tons,
lot.
tons, tons. So go Jays, everybody. If you could just if you do us, listen, 2 things you could do for us today, ladies and gentlemen, that are watching this right now. As I broadcast from yet another airport with a head cold. That's how important this is to me. Not only the topics we discussed, but this. I just need everybody to focus on this one thing tonight. Send your good juge all the way up to Canada for the Toronto Blue Jays. Just send that juju up here. That would be great. Um, Make sure you support the Blue Jays. I know if you're a Dodgers fan and you're in LA and you're watching this, totally allowed to support your LA Dodgers. I get it. These are 2 good teams. Trump hates both of them. So either way, we win. Either way, we win. It's going to be great. Um, but make sure you do me a favor. Subscribe here. Subscribe to Zev. Narrative.org is Zev's subscription. That's his Substack. Please subscribe there and check out his work. I'll have a Blue Jays wrap tomorrow morning. Couldn't get to it today because I went to bed at 2:47 a.m. this morning after the game was over, and after I threw the remote against the wall. I just turned it over and
Oh,
went
no,
straight
you
to
did
bed.
not.
So I need a new remote. So if you could go subscribe,
So please, or subscribe to Dean Blundell,
because
Substack.com,
I
so he
need
can
a new
buy
remote.
himself a new remote. The man without a remote is nothing.
And there
So
may
get
be a
him
hole in
one.
the wall that I need to pay to have fixed as well. But no,
Well,
please, if you can, folks, just run and subscribe. We love doing this with you. Aside from the Jays stuff, being able to kind of check in with everybody every day and breathe some sanity into your life as you breathe sanity into our lives. Subscribing free or paid is some of the most sustainably important ways that you can support people to do the kind of content that we do. And we love you. We love being here. If you share this with anybody that you would like to share with, if you found this important, share Zev's content, subscribe to Zev's narrative.org, deanblundell.substack.com. Both of us 50% off until the end of the month. So if you could do that for us, we'd really appreciate it. And more importantly, thank you for joining us at Go Blue Jays tonight.
What a great way to end the show, Dean. Have a good trip wherever you're going, and we'll subscribe because I want to hear about Barron Trump. I gotta get that Barron Trump story from you. That's only going to be available, Dean
Tomorrow.
Blundell,
It'll be
at
out tomorrow. It'll be out tomorrow.
substack.com. So everyone
Yeah.
subscribe to Dean and get that tomorrow. Thanks for watching the Five Stack today. We'll see you tomorrow from another
Bye, guys.
airport. Bye.